Hello folks, how are we today? Wanted to come to you and give us a good recording, a visual recording of the PowerPoint, the slides, the deck, and everything inside my open house documents inside the Google Drive folder that I'm going to share with the folks. Everyone is going to attend all of my trainings and my events that I'm hosting over the next few weeks. And I wanted to give one Hey guys, Richard Wolf here, DTM, open house trainer and training coordinator for District 68. I wanted to come to you and put a recording together of my open house training with all the documents and parts and pieces. And I wanted to get it kind of clean and clear so we didn't have any distractions for you to go back and review and rewatch later on down the road. And something a little more succinct than I would actually do in the training. So here we go. First off, let's see, we got our screen shared, I'm recording audio. I'm sure you can hear me well. Let's go ahead and get into the PowerPoint presentation. And the first thing I want to cover for you real quick is to give you the why behind this. When I served as a Division A director, actually I was the first Division A director back when they changed them from governors to directors. I was, as if you know, Division A is the most logistically challenged division in the whole state, in the whole district. It goes from Beaumont over to Lafayette and then all the way up to Monroe. Part of Shreveport is actually carved out into the next district. So to kind of see all those people was a bit of a challenge. So what I chose to do is it looked like to me that Beaumont was really the most challenged area. It had not been, the area had not been distinguished in a, I think it was going on, this would have been the 4th year if it didn't make distinguished that year. This was 2015 to 16. There were 4 clubs, and the 3 of those clubs were pretty seasoned clubs, had been around for a few years. One was a club that was a little smaller and had been around, I think, 2 years, but had been struggling with membership on and off. So as I looked at this from a perspective of, okay, how can I help this division? How can I help Beaumont specifically? And what kind of program can I put together that may be able to be presented to other areas, other clubs, other divisions that might help them grow as well? So that's where I put on my hat, my leadership hat, and I did my high performance leadership project on building what I'm calling the open house in a box format. And that's my Google Drive folder that I'll share with each and every one of you after the event. Just send me an email and I'll send it out to you, with all the documents that I created as a guideline and step-by-step process to execute a good, exciting, and fun open house. We did this in Beaumont specifically. I also did it up in Ruston to get that club started up there, and I did another 2 in CenturyLink Club in Monroe, and also for the Twin Cities Club to help grow their membership. And it helped in every situation that we did. Every club event that we did, we were actually able to get that club in Ruston chartered. And I'll say we as a team, not myself. I gave speeches and I helped a little bit on the coordination, but 99% of all the work was done by the clubs. So this is not me as anybody doing anything fantastic. I just had the idea and the dedication to work the system and make it happen. That was really it. All the clubs did the work and they helped. But the tools that I used to help them execute it are right here in this folder, and I'm going to go over them today. But when we did that, over a 7-month time period, specifically in Beaumont, we brought on 17 new club members. Again, we were able to charter the Ruston Club. I give Tamika full credit. She really got the people to show up. She had everything happen. But we were able to charter that club with, I think, 22 members, if I'm not mistaken. And we also helped the CenturyLink Club put on quite a few new members during that term. And the Twin City Club also reached distinguished that year as well. So again, that's what's happened. That's the results of what we executed. So this system works, folks. If you execute it in your club on a regular basis, you're going to see the results. So why do we want to do an open house? Well, I touched on it already, but it's really, we want to grow membership, and we want to grow it in a more focused effort, okay? The other thing that I'm going to tell you is I got this idea from an organization I work with, and they call them visitor days. I like to use the term open house because, you know, as we know, most of our Toastmaster clubs are open to the community, But it gives us that whole idea. We really want to open up the house and bring everybody in, as many guests as we can find. So that's the idea. We're going to be able to add multiple members at one time, so we can definitely help our club to grow quicker, thus the areas and divisions. We're going to be able to fulfill the Toastmasters promise number 8, to share the benefits of Toastmasters with the community and see how it's going to help them. It's going to create more energy in the club. If you've been a part of any organization, I don't care where you're at, new members always bring a little extra energy and life to what's going on because they're new, they're excited, they're looking for things, they're asking questions, they're seeking information. It always adds energy to the clubs. You're going to find potential leaders that aren't in your clubs right now. Many clubs experience that, well, we don't have people that want to step up in leadership. Well, that's because you're not growing your membership. When you grow your membership, you're going to find potential leaders, and you have to keep doing that on a regular and consistent basis. You're going to help others develop and grow personally. We know how Toastmasters affects us. We all have experienced it and seen it. We need to make sure we're sharing that with other people. This is not just about us. This is about the people in our community. Also, we're going to help find more leaders for the district, area, and divisions as well. And we're going to find leadership for our clubs, and we're going to also help our members step into leadership opportunities. Every open house is an event in which someone in your club can step up and manage and run that event. And I'm going to show you those positions in a minute. Key points of the open house, really, like I said, it's an event, not just another meeting. And I don't want that to mean that we've allowed our meetings to get stale, because that is not always the case. Now, I'm going to tell you straight up from my experience, Evangeline, when I joined, was a good, solid club, but we went through a period there in which we had 3 to 5 members showing up, and it wasn't exciting every time you walked in the door. But then we worked hard. We added new members, we grew the club up to a max. I think we reached a max of 28 one year, then 32 the next, and then we've been in that 20 to 25 range ever since. But again, we focused on those meetings as open houses to make them an event, not just another meeting. So that is crucial and key. Every club, I feel, should do 4 a year, once a quarter, and the 2 quarters that coincide or come right up on the renewal periods, make sure you do an open house at least probably 3 weeks minimum before the final renewal cycle. So that gives you time to have that final open house before the renewals, and then follow up with a few members if necessary, if you need to reach a couple of new goals, or if you want to put on a few more members before the renewal cycle hits. Keep it simple, make it energetic and fun. Most of the clubs that do it, and they have a theme, they'll put a little decorations out and they'll have some fun. Something here I want to interject, though, is you do not necessarily have to have food. I do think that maybe bringing bottled water is a good idea. I mean, even if it's room temperature, because I know not all clubs have the funds, you know, in a club kitty, and maybe the members don't want to put up money themselves to do this. If everybody wants to bring a little something, that's fine. But I think a minimum just bottled water, but you don't have to have food or pizza or any of that kind of stuff. A solid speaker on communication and leadership, and try to bring in some district leaders to help support the efforts. Now, if you're going to do this, it puts more pressure on the club to make sure you have some guests show up. Nothing is more, I guess, demotivating, if you will, is for a speaker to drive 2 hours from another area to come in and give a speech for you to help your club grow, and you have 1 guest. And not everybody put in a good effort to make sure we got guests to the meeting. Because I firmly believe if you're making a concerted effort for a meeting to have an open house, there's no reason why each member shouldn't bring at least 1 guest. And we're going to go over some ways to find those here in a little bit later. Time for the application in the open house meeting is key and critical. And you have to ask them to join. We're going to walk through the script on that here in just a minute in the agenda as well. But that has to be moved. Fit in there, because that's the key to the open house, is we're skinnying down the agenda, taking a little bit less time from a normal meeting, and we're making sure that that application time is put in there to answer questions and make sure they fill it out, sign it, and can pay us and get started. And so promotion and follow-up is really the key. If you promote this event effectively, you're going to get new members. I would almost probably put 100% count on that. If you're following the steps, if you're putting in effective promotion and you're following up, you're going to get members to join at these meetings and afterwards. Best practices from executing several of these, again, we've said this before, but it bears repeating, is pick dates one time per quarter, time them before renewals, at least those 2 times in a year. And I'm going to say, let me back up, and I'm going to say this from the standpoint, if you're a bigger, I took a look at the district dashboard, and we really have 3 clubs that are at 30 or more members. Probably another 3 to 4 that are actually 20 to 25-ish, and everybody else is usually in that 20 and under range. So those 3 or 4 clubs that are at the 30, 25 to 30 range, they could pull off just 2 a year and still maintain membership and still grow the way they probably want to. But all the other clubs, in my opinion, probably should be doing at least 3, and it's recommended to do 4, 1 per quarter every year. So keep that in mind to keep your membership flowing and steady, and you don't reach a point if you stop doing them to which you start to get stagnant. You're going to pick 3 key people to be the event chair, visitor host, and PR chair. Now I said pick, but what I would also say is look at your Toastmasters year, and if you're going to do 4 events, coordinate some folks that could sit there and say, hey, I think that we can have the president head up one, the VPM head up one, the VPPR head up one, and the secretary head up one. Unless there's other people in your club that would want to jump in and volunteer and get that experience and practice. So there you have the 4 leaders for each event. That'd be your event chair. And then you're going to pick a person to be visitor chair and PR chair from out the rest of the club. Those 3 can pull it off and execute it. And I'm going to walk through a checklist on kind of what to get done here in a little bit. Target market. At each event, pick a target specific market. Maybe you want to take one specific open house and make that the one where you focus on past members, previous members, and folks that you've been inviting or have come as guests in the past 6 months to a year. That'll have a pool of several people, 20 or 30 probably, that have come through your club, and you can go to past members up to 2 years back. You may find that on your dashboard in your Leader Central, or you may have to reach out to Toastmasters to get it, but you can't get a hold of that. Or pick a particular industry depending on where your market is. You want to go to salespeople or bring more salespeople in. Do you want to find more, human resources folks or people in different departments or different categories of industry maybe. Engineers, as we've got a lot of clubs that have engineers. Some are geared around colleges. So we just want to take those things to get there. Create a timeline of 8, 6, or 4 weeks and then divide and conquer. Now, you can pull it off in 4 weeks. My recommendation is a 6-week timeline because it gives you enough time and you're not rushing and it's not too long before it gets drug out and you lose momentum. But depending on your club and how you want to play it out, 8, 6, or 4 weeks of work. Divide and conquer. Each person, the event chair, the visitor chair, and PR chair, should find at least one other person to help them with all the duties to get the job done. Okay? Again, it's an event, not another meeting, so let's keep that in mind. Promotions. Where and when? Well, where do you want to go? Who is it that you want to bring into your club? I'll talk about that here in a minute. You want to go to colleges, businesses, churches, trade schools. These last 2, influencers in your community. I would almost bet that every club across the state knows a realtor in their market that has a pretty good size influence and a pretty good size business. That person's probably got a Facebook page and an Instagram page. Ask those folks, find someone that knows them well, and ask them if they would help you promote Toastmasters. Now, number 1 is they don't have to be a member, but they probably do need to buy into the idea of leadership and communication, so you might need to find the right person. But I would bet with some work and some conversation with people that you can find the folks that could do that. And all you want them to do is a little blurb and promote your event. If you've done an Eventbrite piece, then you can have them share that link on their Facebook page or in their Instagram feed to their folks. And then all the other members will do the same. Finding new members. Successful Club Series Toastmasters number 291A has got a lot of good ideas on where you can find new members and how to bring in new members in your clubs. LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. Facebook. Need to fix my tongue today. LinkedIn, I think, is a missing piece of the puzzle. And what I want you to think about here is most folks that are in business of any sort have a LinkedIn profile. But I think we need to use that LinkedIn profile a little bit more to be more strategic so that we can spread the word about Toastmasters. So each member of the club who has one should share their event for the club open house on their LinkedIn page. And they should reach out to maybe some folks in their network on LinkedIn that would share with other folks as well. I've done it in our community, and I know I've brought in 2 or 3 extra guests on the open houses where I've really executed that. And 1 or 2 of those folks have joined over a period of time. Same thing can be done in Facebook and Instagram. Now, on Facebook, I want to make a point that clubs have Facebook pages, but keep in mind, on a Facebook group page, the only people seeing it are folks who are members. Those members have to share it outside of the group to their friends before anyone else is going to see it. So make sure people are active on your Facebook page. When 30 days to 2 weeks out, you want to really put a focused effort and really ramp it up as you get closer to the event. Okay? Now, I want to actually, let me back up for 1 minute, back here to promotions. Another point I want to make here, and I probably should add another line, is you want to ask your club members very specifically, what is it that you're going to do to promote this event? And what do I mean by that? I mean specifically is you want to get a small commitment from your members. Now, some members are going to invite people that they know face-to-face, and bring them to the open house. Other folks are going to say, well, I don't necessarily want to go out in the community and find people, so I'm going to talk to the people I know and I'll invite a few. But then there's other folks in your club that don't mind going out to invite, but maybe they're a little hesitant on what and how to do it. Have some flyers printed up. Give that person 15 or 20 flyers to go distribute in the community, coffee houses, libraries. Bring them to HR departments and ask them to put them on the bulletin board in the break room. Anything like that they want to do. Other folks would like a business card. Have some business cards printed. You can use the very inexpensive ones when you buy the little thing at Office Depot. Your club may have some already. Use those to hand out. And then some folks may like to trifold or some of the Toastmasters International nice flyers to use too. But also, I'm going to show you a flyer that we've used in the clubs in the past as well. Okay, this is a quick snapshot of the open house checklist, which I'm going to dig in a little deeper once I get into the Google Drive folder. Because I really want to dig deep in here to kind of give you guys more of an idea of how I execute this with those documents I've given you. I've also developed an inviting scripts document, how to invite them on the phone. This is a basic little phone script that someone that doesn't have any experience and maybe is not a salesman, right? But they can sit here and plug in the information, print it out, and have it with them when they sit down and make a few phone calls to people they know. It's very simple, easy, and straightforward, and I'm going to get into that a little bit later. Best practice at open house to continue is prep the agenda for the meeting and have the key people in the key positions. As you begin to start doing this, over time, you'll have more people that are much more proficient. And I know we probably have many folks that are really good at Toastmasters in our club, but I'm asking you here, when you do your first one, really have the top Toastmaster run the first event for you. Okay? And you want to have other people that might need help in becoming a better Toastmaster, shadow them, and get some key points on what they do to make it so exciting and fun when they Toastmaster. Same for Table Topics General Evaluator. We'll dig into the details. Again, it's showtime this day. Showtime, baby! We want to make sure that we're on our game for this particular day. Good energy, got a greeter, mixer, Toastmaster. There's a closer. We're going to go over that here in a minute. You've got handouts. You've got everything you need for that event. Everybody is coordinated. Do not take it for granted that something's been done. And I have a checklist I'm going to give you can use as well to execute it. The invite script and the follow-up script, you have that, but use it. It's going to be key to getting things more proficient and efficient in your club. Have some thank you cards. I think this is a nice little extra touch. I know I have what's called a send-out cards account, and one open house I actually took the names from the list. I found we had them actually put down their physical address as well, and we actually mailed out some cards to them, and it was a little extra thank you. You can buy them at the dollar store, and a box of them is $1. Sign them and send them out. Thank you for showing up tonight. Follow-up is the key, and all you're looking for in the follow-up after the meeting, if they didn't join, Is it a yes, you're going to join and come to the next meeting? No, it's just not for me, or not now. I just don't have the time and effort to put into it. After the event is over, you want to have a good debrief to kind of look and see, how did we do on this event? What went well? Can we celebrate some successes? What can we improve upon? You know, looking back at the checklist, did we miss something that we might can make better? Is the agenda, did we follow it directly? Was it a good impact? Did we give it our best? Let's be honest and say, did everybody do what they should do? What were some mistakes and missteps that we had that we need to avoid and not do next time? I'm going to give you a quick scenario. A club I went to speak at and help run an open house, the Toastmaster for the event showed up and had no agendas for the meeting whatsoever. I asked him a little bit later, hey, where are your applications for the guests that are coming in? Was my response initially. And then when I asked another member, they went and dug through their box and they found some. But nothing was set up and ready like as a guest packet to hand them when they come in the door. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more. But again, those are things that if you notice that you missed something on a meeting, let's try to execute it better the next time. Look at your numbers. If we set a goal to bring in 5 new guests or 5 new members and we had, 7 guests, how many actually joined? And can we follow up to get a couple more to join? Because maybe, whatever came up at the time and just didn't fit right. But maybe we can catch them in the next 3 weeks to a couple of months, right? But see how we were. Now, I want to say this too. If you only had 1 new member join, that was a successful event. How can we take that and make it better next time, right? Community events and social influencers. Something here, I think, that to kind of go back to the Facebook and Instagram influencers, in this part here, from a promotion standpoint, did we really get out and talk to our community about this event we were going to execute, right? And did we involve folks? What we've done here in Lafayette a couple of times is right before the open house event, we tried to get on the TV for one of the morning shows, talk about the event. Number 2 is we went to some of the local BNI chapters and visited, talked about Toastmasters, handed out flyers, and invited them to come. And then thirdly, we would go to some networking events, bring flyers and trifolds, and hand those out to people, just talking about Toastmasters. And we're getting more folks and ideas out in the community to bring more people into the Toastmasters world. Common errors, kind of followed up on the debrief, not having a guest packet with an application in it. However you want to put that together is fine. I'll give you some ideas here in a moment. Were all the members prepared and early for the meeting? I think all the leaders of the club should be there early and prepared, probably 20 to 30 minutes early before the meeting could be ready. Do we have name tags? I think that's critical because we want the guests to know our names, but we also want to be able to know theirs and remember them so we can call them by name. Everyone loves to be called by name. Are we giving good greetings, interactions, and handoffs, I call it? So your visitor host will be the person that will greet folks when they come in, have them sign the guest book, name, address, email, and phone, and then they hand them off to another member to interact and chit-chat with them. That member then hands them off to another member. Every guest should meet every member in the club that's in attendance that night. It's a good impact for them. Did we cover the application and give short testimonials, and the key word here is short, 2 to 3 minutes during the meeting? Some clubs I've been to for an open house, they talked about the application, kind of blew right through it too fast, and there wasn't a good impact to really be able to set up for a good close. And then not asking them to join at the open house meeting. And what do I mean by that? I'm going to walk through it here in a minute when I go to the agenda, but this is the statement that I took from the gentleman who started 168 new clubs in his dependent, and in his district. And after you've gone through the application, given them the amount of money and all that good stuff, answered any questions, this is the moment. If there's no more questions, I have one for you. You complete your member application and leave it with us tonight, or today if it's a lunch meeting, and be quiet. And that person that just went through the application turns it back over to the Toastmaster. Make it fun. Have a good old time. The event needs to be fun, upbeat. I can't say that enough. And better than any other meeting you've ever put together. Again, not demeaning any of our normal meetings, but we want this one to be impactful for those folks that come through the door. Have everything planned out. Get help from your district leaders if you need it. Every club in the district, I believe, can pull these off by themselves, but there probably are some out there that just might need a little extra help, someone to come in from the outside and give a speech that can help them get some more members to join. More events will bring in more members, and on average, we're getting 50% of the attendees to join the club that night at the event, and sometimes even higher when we're following up well. So keep it personal, and remember, the guest who never forgets who the host is, who treated them kindly. I'm thinking that was Homer Simpson, but there might be someone a little bit older than that Homer. Okay, here's what I want to do now. That's the PowerPoint. So let's step into the actual documents inside the folder. Let me back up here. So when I send you the link, you're going to get the link to right here, Open House in a Box. Okay? That's what it's going to be. You're going to click on that, and you're going to go and you're going to download all these documents to your computer and your desktop. Because at some point in time, I may move this or put it in a different folder or something, and you may lose access. So 10 tips of public speaking. This is the free value add that I talked about there in the PowerPoint. I would take this, you can get this from Toastmasters. I would also take the membership application and benefits of Toastmasters, and I would put those inside of a Toastmaster magazine, and that would be my guest packet. Okay? Simple and easy. That open house flyer right here, the one thing I want you to notice here is this one gives you some room to put some verbiage for the event. Any of these events, you want to promote the speaker and the speech that they're going to be giving. That's the draw to the meeting, besides just the fact that Toastmasters is a great organization, right? And then they can RSVP. So this is a good flyer for you to use. Just put in your information and hand it out in the community. Let's see. Another piece I want to go over first is our open house checklist. So this is a checklist I designed, and we use it in our club to walk through the event chair, what are they responsible for, promotions chair, what are they responsible for, visitor hosts. We walk through each meeting, pick a date 5 weeks out, what is the goal, how many new members we want to bring in, make sure people take accountability and they form a little committee, location, assign tasks, set agenda. All this is given to you specifically on what to do. Meeting 1. Meeting 2, let's go back through the checklist, which is down here at the bottom. Right here's the checklist. You'll be able to check it off at the second meeting to know what's done and what still needs to be done. And then meeting number 3, that final things to be done, last push on marketing, everybody bring a guest. Remember, it's not just another meeting. Make a focused effort to share it with the community. And I'm even giving you a little list of stuff to cover in the debrief. If you've got any questions, shoot me an email. If this needs to be updated, we can make this better. Please let me know. I'm open to suggestions. But I will tell you, this has worked, this has been used, and it's effective. Second thing I want to cover is inviting scripts. Again, I put this together simply because I know there are people in our clubs that probably are nervous on how to invite somebody. The basic idea, whether it's by phone, email, face-to-face, whatever, you want to sell the event and get people to show up. You don't want to sell Toastmasters. Real simple, man, we get together, we've got a great speaker coming, I really want you to meet him, I think he's going to give you some good value and good feedback. Come see us, I think you're going to have a good time. But just walk right through what to do and how to do it. The email, same thing, very simple. If you everybody's got a contact list in their email folders. Reach out to these folks. Give them, cut and paste, plug in the speaker title and the speech and their name, and get people to show up. It's really that simple. Really that simple. You could probably use this in Facebook Messenger, LinkedIn Messenger, so many different ways. Okay, and also in there, wait, let me go back, one other thing. At the bottom of this, I've even given a follow-up script. Okay? Hey, this is Richard with Toastmasters. You came to the open house last week. Do you got a few minutes? Wonderful. Look, I wanted to touch base just for 3 reasons. First, I wanted to thank you for showing up. I really appreciate that. Second, I wanted to ask what you like best about the meeting. And be quiet. Let them talk at this point. And then you want to agree with them on it. Hey, that's great to hear. That's one of my favorite parts of the meeting as well. But lastly, I did want to ask you when you plan on joining the club. Be quiet for a moment. Whatever they might say. Hey, well, you know what? I believe you would enjoy the club and the environment. I think you agreed it was a good time. We already got a mentor lined up for you, ready to work with you and help you achieve your goals. Be quiet again. They're either going to tell you, yes, I'll be there next week and bring my money and application, or they're going to start giving you reasons why they can't, excuses. No sweat, no pressure. You just want to get a yes, no, or not now. So yes, great, looking forward to it. If it's a no, no sweat. I'll tell you what, could we expect you to come back and visit at some time in the future? Great, great. When you do, bring a friend. I'll let you go, man. Have a great day. So it gives a simple way for folks to follow up. And you can take this, I made a little note here. Assign the follow-up to one person that can coordinate with a couple of other folks and have them walk through and do what they can to get some folks to come back and join after the meeting as well. Also inside of here, we put a, this is the actual open house news release. So you can fill in your information. This is a blank one, or generic one from Toastmasters. Up here, I actually have one that we use for Evangeline and what we did and how we kind of scripted it. Actually, I had a good friend of mine help me kind of craft this here in the local area that worked at the newspaper too. I've got the full, this is the PowerPoint presentation that we just went through, so you have it to walk through if you like. And the agenda, let's talk about that and I'm going to cut you guys loose. So the agenda, now once you download it and put it into Word, it's probably going to get better. The format's going to play out. But it's about an hour meeting, 6:30 here to 7:30 is our time frame. President starts the meeting, introduces the Toastmaster. Toastmaster here is generally going to walk through all the roles in the club. I know in a normal situation, you're going to have each person do their part. And you can do that as long as everybody stays succinct and doesn't drag it out to stay on time. Because again, the key on an open house is making sure there's time for the application part and the testimonials to make the impact. Okay, also here, you may have person, just from a time standpoint, one person may serve as your counter, grammarian, and word of the day, kind of all in one role, right? We'll probably do that sometimes. What is that, the swag master? Also, the timer, one person for that, and the general evaluator may serve as the evaluator of the speaker as well. I generally like to have a keynote speaker, one that's going to have the key speech, could be 8 to 10, 12 minutes. And then I would like a speaker from the club to actually speak, and that's the speaker that would get evaluated. If for some reason you only have the keynote and that's it, well then that person can be evaluated by the evaluator just to give the guests that come through an idea of what the evaluation process is like. Then we get into table topics, and again, prompt your guests that, hey, you might be asked to step up and speak. If for some reason they don't want to, make sure that the table topics master knows that so we don't embarrass anyone. Again, Toastmaster does the evaluation part of the meeting. Then we're going to carve out the last section of the meeting is going to be for testimonials, 2 to 3 minutes, just 1 or 2 people to talk about what their testimony for the Toastmasters is. And then finally is the membership application walkthrough. And you want to be very specific here. And let me jump back to the application itself, because here's how basically we go through it when we do it. What's going on? Here we go. Application. Okay, well look guys, everybody pull out your application. Now, you may have this information already filled in. But look, I want you to put in your last name, first name, middle initial, your address, phone number, and email so we can contact you. You'll get a Toastmaster magazine mail to your house. We'll be able to have your email address in the system, so we'll get you set up through Pathways and your phone number so we can reach out and contact you if we ever need anything. So, quick pause here. You're assuming the sale and everybody's going to join right now. So be sure you put in your address here so we can know where to mail your information. Also spell everything correctly. Make sure you put it legibly so we know how to put it in the computer properly. Now I'm sure you know how to spell your last name, correct? Make a little joke of it. Or not if you don't want to. When it comes to the cost to join, have the number in your head. If it's whatever month it is, if it's $47 to join tonight, and that would include your member fee, your dues because it's only 2 months left in the term, and your $10 in club dues, all those numbers should be in one number. So if it's $47 to join for all those together, tonight it's going to be $47 for you to get started. That's going to cover you through the next 60 days, and then we'll start our next 6-month term after that. So that $47 is going to be comprised of a $20 new member fee, gets you set up with Pathways, gets your Toastmaster magazine, gets all your access to the Toastmasters world. And then we're going to have 2 months at $15 as the membership dues, and we have another $10 in club dues to help us pay for all the incidentals in the club. So again, $47 gets you started tonight. Now on the second page, this is what we call our member agreement, but what I want you to take a look at real quick is the Toastmasters promise. Walk through all of these. You don't have to read them all, but you want to say that this is exactly what every member of the club says they're going to do for the club. And that's what we hold each other to. Over here, by my signature below, I certify that this individual has joined Toastmasters Club identified. Right here, you want to read this to them. As a club, we will ensure this member receives proper orientation and mentoring. For all you new members that are about to join tonight, this is our commitment to you. This is your commitment to the members in the club, and our commitment as members to you. But this is our commitment as a club back to you as the member, right here. So as the applicant, you'll sign right here as a new member, and then the club officer will sign down here and we'll process it. And in this last page, you can fill in your credit card information, and you can see Miss Vanessa there in the back, and we'll get you started tonight. So once you've done that, go back to the agenda here. You walk through all that, you say, hey, are there any questions on what we just talked about? Okay, great. Well, if there are no more questions, I have one for you. Will you complete the member application and leave it with us tonight? Madam Toastmaster. And you go sit down. This is the closer. I call this position the closer. And it's really as simple as that. But it needs to be executed, and you're going to get better with practice, but try to find someone who's confident in doing that step for you. Last thing I'm going to leave you with here is I developed a little document about mentoring tools. Once we get them started, we got to keep them, right? This is just some tools that Joelle and I created back in 15 and 16 to help our club kind of get going. Now, this first link, most of this has now been covered in the Pathways program, so it may not be necessary, but it might be an added enhancement if you've got some folks that want to know more about the roles in the club. In this university, there's actually a training on how to write a speech as well. Some stuff on leadership. Also, Joel Dawson talked about membership building. This is another good little course to take. It's really a lot of help. And again, my contact and our contact info. If you've got any questions, you think you need something we can improve upon, please, please let us know. We're here to do that. So that really wraps it up. I just wanted you to see a more in-depth detail of all the documents in here, what they were for and why we put them in there, so that you knew how to use them. This is a video I recorded most recently, but I'm actually going to upload this particular recording with the screen share and everything to put this in here, because I think in this one I just basically walked through the PowerPoint. So you'll have both of these for a resource if you need them, to go a little more deep if you need to. So that is it for this presentation and this training. I appreciate you being here. Thank you for taking the time. And, whoops, here we go. We want to thank you so much for being here. Appreciate you taking the time to listen. Hope this adds some value. And if there is anything you come across with a question or anything input you think we could do better, some feedback, please, please reach out and let me know. Richard at thewolfe, W-O-L-F-E, speaks.com. Thanks so much. Y'all have a good one.